Yeah, fucking, it is. That's what I really enjoy at the moment, is just the little things. And I think you get to that point on the journey, don't you, where it's like I don't know, you think you're looking for something else. You think you're looking for, like, I don't know, some crazy fucking change in your life or whatever, and it's not. It's just the little things that you do in a day-to-day, and that's you being present in essence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like hoovering. I just fucking love hoovering now. It's like I always did, because it's like cleanliness is next to godliness, isn't it, you know? But yeah, the little things, and it's like, I don't know, like when I went fishing before, and then it's, and then I was like, oh no, I can't do that because that's not spiritual, you know? It's like, no, everything's spiritual, and it's just a trap of the fucking ego mind that says you've got to be something else.
Yeah.
And then you start being inauthentic to yourself, and you start going fucking loopy, trying to be something for that gratification, isn't it? You know, and it's like it's a trap on the journey that I fell into. I've fallen into quite a few times actually.
Yeah.
But then when you realise it was just it was just going fishing and doing welding with your dad or whatever. It's like that's the thing, isn't it? You know, it's like I don't know what you've encountered along the way. I don't know.
I got like addicted to like seeking, addicted to seeking, searching. Like I thought there was always going to be something else that I needed to know and like needed to learn. And I think, I don't know if it was yourself that sent me a video about it or if I come across it myself, and it was like at some point we get addicted to the search, like, and think that someday we're going to acquire a certain amount of knowledge and then it's going to set us free.
Yeah.
And that's it then. We don't need to do anything else because we know everything we need to know. But yeah, it's not the case. Like it gets to the stage where you need to stop searching and searching for many things, but one of the things is searching for answers in like knowledge. Where like obviously knowledge is important because it's where you learn things, but it gets to the point where you're just, especially me, like I just listen to podcast after podcast after book after book, just like 2-3 hours a day. I'm grateful that I did, you know, because I've got a lot of knowledge from it, but I definitely went into it a bit too much. Just now I'm like a bit more, less is more with it at the moment, especially when you talk about non-duality, and it's like it doesn't have to be like a good and a bad. It's like the middle path. It's like the good and the bad don't even exist with the middle path. It just is, isn't it? Yeah,
totally. And yeah, it's something I fucking exactly. And it's like you could say that with anything on the journey, and it's like, oh well, when I get more money, I'll be happy. And it's like, oh well, when I get fucking, you know, a squeakier fart, then I'll be happy. That's stuff, but fucking it is, isn't it? You know, it's like same with everything. You're always, if you're always searching for something that's attainable, you're missing the fact that you already have it. And we all already have it, you know. And we could say that, oh no, well I don't, but I live in a block of flats in Glasgow and my life's shit and all the rest of it. Yeah, well fucking think about somebody who's like living, you know, with literally fuck all. They don't have rooms around them. They live outside. They're on the street and all the rest of it. And some of them people are happier than them people who have. So there's no measurement of that, is there? You know, it's like
exactly.
But that is something that society has sold us. But it's not to blame society either, because as I see it, this is a game. This is a game, innit? It's like it's not something that we didn't willingly as souls enter into, you know. Exactly. It's like, so it's that finding the humility in that, and then finding the lessons in everything that that's the thing that frees you, isn't it? You know, it's like it doesn't matter where you're at, you can always find peace within yourself. It's not out here. And you keep falling into that trap. Or maybe it is out here, you know. But way fucking that fired right in my balls.
Great balls of fire.
But yeah, it's end the searching, and that's the other thing as well. Is like, you know, I had that moment on your journey where you see that presentness, or you witness that presentness, and then it slowly goes away from you. And that can be for many reasons. You're around other people who are, you know, not in that space or whatever, and then because of the patterns that come up in your head, you then believe in what they're saying, so that you go down into their vibration. And it's like, you know, we've just got to be careful with what what environment we're hanging around in, because that can also affect you, I guess. It's like,
Yeah, definitely.
so there's many factors, isn't there? But it's a fucking superb game.
Yeah.
It is a superb game.
I remember I can't remember who I was with, but I was with someone. It was a few years ago, and there's a passage in the Bible, and I think it was actually Jesus who said it. It was like, to the man who has everything, more will be given, and the man who has nothing, more will be taken. And we were sat there together, and then the person I was with, they was like, that's so unfair. Like, that's bullshit. Like, that shouldn't be how it works. We should be like given everything. And then it took me a while, like years, to realize what that actually meant. And what it actually means, I think, is if you believe that you don't have anything and you need more, then you're going to be shown more of that. And more of that is going to be what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
But then if you believe that you have everything and you don't need anything, then that's going to be what your experience is.
Yeah.
And you're going to experience more of that. And if you're at that frequency, everything is frequency, everything's energy. And you're going to energetically align with more things to be grateful and appreciative of if you already are grateful and appreciative of what you already have and where you already are.
Totally.
So, yeah.
It's the same in it. It's like the Taoist principle, you know. It's like if you're the Buddhist principle, it's like man who has, what did I say before? It was like the man who needs nothing more or nothing less is a contented man, you know. It's like presentness, and the present moment is the biggest gift that we have, and that's why it's called the present, because it is a fucking gift, you know. It's like, and that's it, is when you take thought out of it, and time doesn't exist, isn't it? You know, it's like, and it's all very well to intellectualize these things and say it, but to really be that is something else, isn't it? You know, it's like, that's where the real magic is. And we're moving out of a linear way of thinking into like a magic way of thinking. That's it, you know. It's like, it's out of logic into magic. I love that phrase because it sums up entirely what is happening now. And that is the densities of reality. You see a lot of people in third density reality where they're still in fear, they're still in shame, they're still in all of these lower frequencies, basically. And that's what David R. Hawkins goes into on the scale of consciousness. Is below 200 is you're being controlled by everything else, you know, or you're allowing your consciousness to be controlled by everything else, rather, because we are the creators, like you said, you know. We are creating this, and whatever we are creating, it's on us. It's our responsibility to recognize that we are, and that's why we suffer, is because we're in those lower rungs and we keep blaming everybody else, or we keep judging all the people and saying it's their fault that my life's like this. Well, if it's their fault that your life's like this, good luck getting out of it, because they have to all change in order for you to be happy within yourself. And it's never going to fucking happen, because you're giving your power away. And so you feel depleted by that as well, because literally you are giving your energy away and saying this has to change in order for me to be happy. Whereas, like, if you start being happy, and happiness is a choice, isn't it? You know, it's like, and we don't get this right all the fucking time. You know, you go up and down in these things. There's the humility of it. It's like, you know, but admitting that and realizing that we can create and change the world to what we see fit through our own internal state, then the view of reality changes through that, isn't it? You know, it's like, but a lot of people don't want to hear that, you know, or can't hear that. And I have fucking massive empathy for them people, you know, but ultimately it's up to you what you want to create in this life, you know. And it's like, I mean, that goes into, you know, what we were saying before about, like, you know, we both have anxious attachment styles, you know, or we have a pattern that is that, you know, in our heads, that's the thoughts we're creating. And so those thoughts are creating our reality, and there has to be a certain level of awareness brought to that in order for us to then free yourself from it. Because if it's unconscious, if it's an unconscious pattern, then that is controlling your life, and it's keeping that happiness away from you, you know. Maybe not all the time, but for a portion of the time, it's keeping that, it's going, no, I'm scared of that, you know. It's like, oh, if I get too close to somebody, then I'm going to have to really sort of like, you know, be vulnerable to that. And that's a really scary thing. It's like what you said about walking into a war zone and stuff, innit? You know, it's like, you know, I can walk into a war zone quite happily and do all those things, or I could, like, you know, I don't know, do any of these sort of things that are perceived by society as being like, oh yeah, that's a real strong thing to do, but being open and vulnerable with your emotions and going like, oh, like I feel like a little child when you said that thing and I felt as though I was wrong and all the rest of it, and it takes you back to that place, doesn't it? You know, and that's fucking terrifying, you know, until it's not. You know, until you do speak it out and you are open and honest with it about yourself. But a lot of people don't understand that they have those patterns, I guess. So it can be really fucking scary for people, you know?
Yeah. But, and it's like, it's very uncomfortable as well. Like, it literally makes your body uncomfortable when you're triggered by something. Obviously, the trigger is somewhere in here, isn't it? And because we don't like it and we try not to face it, we're like, okay, well, that was uncomfortable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah.
Or we might find a way to block it out somehow. And there's various ways people do that.
Yeah, numb it.
But what I'd say, most people don't face it. Most people do find a way to turn away from it, or like maybe blame something or someone on the external. Like, I feel like this, and because I feel like this now, you did something that made me feel like this, so this is your fault.
Yeah.
So you need to deal with that. You need to sort that out. Like, this is your problem to fix.
Yeah.
And some people are like, can be a fucking arse and do things to annoy you, but how much that affects you is largely down to how much you are willing to let it affect you.
Yeah. And
some of it's unconscious. So that's like the key part here to think about, is like the fact that it's unconscious. Your emotional state is being altered by the way somebody's acting, and you're completely unconscious of the mechanics of how that's actually playing out. It's just like, this has happened, I feel like this, I don't know why. Now I'm kind of confused, probably a bit angry. I need to blame something to find a reason for this.
Yeah. So I don't want to feel this anymore. Yeah, that's it. It's your fault.
Yeah. And it's like, it's easier to explain away if there's a reason, if there's something to blame on, something or someone to blame it on, and to point the finger outside of ourselves.
Yeah. It doesn't fix anything though, does it? That's it. You just keep repeating those cycles until, and that's the beauty of it when you look at it from that place of neutrality. These things keep happening so that we become aware of it. And like, the more they happen and the more frequent it gets and the more uncomfortable it gets, then then at one point you'll realize and you'll go, oh shit, that was me. Yeah. And then you know, and you'll get all these synchronicities and, like, you know, all these angels getting involved or your guides getting involved and be like, yeah. Nice one. We're loving you. We're not judging you. We're so glad you've realised this. Yeah. And that's what humanity's going through right now, isn't it? It's like they're going through this accountability of that. Yeah, massively.
Absolutely. It's like, I believe that if you're not listening to a message that you're supposed to be receiving, the message will get louder, and it'll get louder, and it'll get louder, and it will evolve, and it will adapt, and it's going to get to the point where it's impossible to ignore. Yeah. But the message started off very subtle and very simple. It's like, maybe have boundaries around somebody taking up your time, or have boundaries about the way somebody treats you. That might be all you need to learn. And the lesson starts off simple, and it'd be easy. And then it just gets louder and louder and louder until eventually it's impossible not to listen to. And then once you've shown that you've learned the lesson when it was really, really loud, it'll come back around again just to check that. Yeah. Okay, so you learned it when it was really loud. Right, now let's see if you listen to it when it's dialed down a bit. Yeah. If you want to check you've really got this message.
Keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, you constantly being, and then don't expect it never to happen again as well, because it's going to keep happening, because like, the evolution of us, the expansion of like consciousness, it's like happening in so many different areas on so many different levels at the same time. And you've got to have like a 360 vision at times, it feels like, because eventually it will just become second nature. Like, what's in our unconscious now, it's second nature to have like patterns of behavior that aren't for our highest good. And we just kind of accept that. So if we can accept that, then surely we can accept that eventually what's going to become unconscious is all of this stuff, which just becomes second nature, which is for our highest good. So we're just completely living our highest expression without even having to think about it and concentrate on it. Totally. Because the unconscious stuff will become conscious. We can then change what was unconscious and replace that with stuff that actually helps our lives.
Yeah. And it sort of requires that consistency, I guess, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
why it keeps showing you in waves. It's all right, like it's all good, you know, and it is all good. That's my theory on stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like the people who I speak to, the clients and stuff, they maybe can't see that perception, but from outside looking in, you know, I can see certain things. And it's like, similarly with them, they're also healing parts of me, because I'm going like, shit, yeah, I'd do that as well. And it's just like, that humility of that is fucking superb. To be able to admit that is fantastic, you know. So it's a real gift, like, and that's what it is literally a lot of the time it can be as simple as speaking out your ego mind. What is your ego mind saying in that moment? What's it? Is it going like, you know, whatever's coming up, you know, it's just speak it out, and then you'll realize how not silly it is, because that's not to, like, you know, put down anybody who's having these thoughts and things, but they are just thoughts. Conditioned thoughts, you know, and we don't have to follow those thoughts, and that's a big part of it. Is, for instance, I noticed it with Jessie, you know, it's like when she won't eat a dinner or whatever it is, you know, and it's just like, you know, the patience of sitting with it, and she will eventually do it. But if you react and you flare up and all these things, then you lose that ability to be able to you fall into a reaction, and then that reaction will just perpetuate anger, and then shit things will happen, basically, you know. Shit things will happen, you know, more suffering will happen, if you want to put it that way. Whereas, like, if you just sit there and you're present and you just breathe and you feel that emotion come up, you'll feel it come up. It's not like you just, got it now, and it doesn't happen like that. You know, it's like, with me, it's like a constant daily thing, you know, and you think you've got something sorted, and you get tested on it again, and you're like, oh no, it's still there, you know what I mean? But just the breath is one of the most powerful things. It's on us all the time, unless you're dead. And it's like, it's always there to regulate and pause. Like, pausing is such a fucking big thing, because we're all, the ego's like, I want things to happen quick and fast and now. And it's like, yeah, but the soul's going, I don't have to, you know what I mean? Soul's just like, that's fine, sort itself out, you know? And getting into that frame of mind and realizing when you're ever being triggered by anything, it doesn't matter what it is, the ability to be able to, instead of go, fuck, and just start kicking off and go, what if we do it like this? Or let's just do it quietly, or whatever it is. And then you bring that awareness into it, and it helps release that feeling of just thingy. But it is a consistent thing. You've got to do it on a consistent basis, you know. It's not like, you know, you come enlightened and that's it. You know, I'm sure there's a few people out there who do that, but like there's levels up the ranks of the consciousness scale, do you know what I mean? And always having that humility of going, I don't know, you know, in that situation, because your guides or your higher self hears that and goes, oh good, I'll show you, you know. Whereas your ego will go like, I've got this, and it's like, no, you fucking don't. It's like, you know.
No, absolutely, yeah, and like when, like, the attachment thing, like, sort of loops back into it as well. It's you like, it's a classic avoidant attachment thing to do. It would be to listen to all of this and say, well, no, I'm just going to carry on doing my life. I'm just going to carry on doing what I do, because sitting there having to, like, watch how you're breathing, having to pause, having to be patient, I'm too busy for that. I've got fucking work to go to. I've got to do this. I'm seeing my mates at the weekend, and if that's you, then you're avoiding it, and you're missing out on a huge part of what it means to be human. Probably one of the most important, like, emotions. Like, it's the full spectrum of human emotion is there to be felt for a reason, and that's
why we come here. That's why we incarnate, isn't
absolutely.
It? It's souls.
And to avoid that is to avoid
life,
being human. To avoid life.
Yeah, totally.
And you mentioned speaking out, and I just want to say how important that is, because I'm fortunate to have the conversations we have, and I'll be speaking something, I think it happened as recently as last night, and I'll literally be speaking something over a voice note, and then just from that, a lot of the time I've got my answer. And it's, do you know what I mean?
It's in you anyway. And it's in everybody anyway, isn't it?
100%. And then a lot of the time you'll feed something back to me and reflect something back to me, which
Yeah,
adds a bit of fucking wisdom to that, which helps catalyze it as well, which is amazing. But like the humility of not knowing, it's so important. Speaking it out, so important. Not denying the emotions is so important, and breathing as well. Like every state of consciousness, or every state of, like, so let's say stress, happiness, relax, they've all got a rhythm of breathing. Each one's got a certain breath pattern. So if you ever feel like stressed or anything from these triggers when you are trying to face this, the breath's an important thing to realize, because if you're like, oh, I feel stressed, I feel anxious right now, just all of a sudden bring your attention to your breathing. Stop looking around on everything that's around you and having these thoughts. Yeah, and bring it. It's like, what's my breath saying to me right now? Breath speaking to you. It's telling you how you're being, and then tune into it, and then you can change how that is by changing your breathing. So it's a really good way to draw that back to you at any moment.
Literally everything, isn't it? Breath, like, because it is the only, out of all the modalities and stuff. And yeah, compassion, self-compassion is massive, but yeah, breath is literally everything. If you can regulate your breath and come back to that in, out, or box breathe, box breathing, 4 in, hold at the top, 4 breath, 4 out, hold at the bottom, 4. It's like, that is so powerful for getting you grounded and into a centered state where you're actually able to fucking be instead of thinking all the time. It's massive, because all of our thoughts are all of our suffering is created by our thoughts, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not so much what's happening out here, because out here is an illusion in essence. It's just what's going on in here that's perceiving this in a certain way, that's going, oh, that's bad, oh, that's good, and it doesn't matter if it's. That's the tricky one as well. Is like catching your triggers when they're bad, in essence, when they're negative or they feel negative within your body and an energy, and also catching them when they're positive as well. And it's like, and not getting too carried away with either one or the other, and walking that middle path. And that's a really hard thing to do, And it's like with, addictions or patterns of behavior that we call negative, they're easy to spot, But the harder ones to spot are the when you're getting carried away with the positive ones, and that's a really uncomfortable thing. And it's like, now I'm not saying, don't go for the positivity. Obviously, positive thoughts are a lot better, do you know what I mean? But also there's a warning there for that as well, because then you can get carried away with that, and then you'll reach a peak and then you'll drop off again, So it's about just being aware of everything and just, keeping that middle line with everything, really, and staying calm, and that's it. It's like the Buddhist teachings say, it's just like, yeah, I can see all this stuff. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I had a really good day today. It's like, ultimately, if you've had a shitty day, and that's a really good thing to say, is like, if whatever works out, great. If it doesn't work out, great. It's like, that's a really good one for me. It's just like, because you're constantly learning then, and then you're never not apprehensive. You never, I don't know. You know what I mean by that anyway. It's like that is the essence of it.
Yeah. Having like it is what it is attitude.
Yeah.
Is really good.
Yeah.
I suppose that is like a very simple way to look at the majority.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's acceptance.
Yeah.
It's acceptance of whatever is. And then there is no good or bad in it, and you find that yin-yang balance, isn't it? And you look at what's playing out in the world at the moment, you could say that all the wars are terrible and all the rest of it. And yeah, there's horrible situations happening there. There is. And I feel deeply for them people who are going through it and stuff. It must be absolutely horrendous, like losing kids and things like that. Like, you've come here to, experience that in this lifetime, like, well on you, but it's like, also what happens after wars is like, I mean, everybody could say that the world is just in flames at the moment. It's completely crazy and all the rest of it. It's chaos. I heard my parents' neighbours say that, it's like, oh, it's terrible, the world, it's the horrible state, it's all going to hell and blah, 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 blah. Well, we've gone quite far out of balance in the world. So in order to restore that balance back to the world, to bring it back into a place of like harmony, which is what the chaos is, then there has to be a bit of chaos, and it has to really fucking blow up, you know what I mean? Not blow up, like, but things have to really be shaken in order for us to, yeah, cool. Yeah. And that's a microcosm of what's happening in the world at the moment. So it's all sorting itself out. But right now it looks crazy. But like any argument that you have the, and then it all settles and then it sorts itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm really poor and I'm never going to have money again. Yeah, but you will, you know, it's like everything always works out. If you get into that mindset of this is just a phase in that sorting out, you know, and that's the way I look at the world anyway, because if not, then you create thoughts in your mind that perpetuate that chaotic cycle, you know, which again isn't really a bad thing either, because there is no good or bad, but it's just you'll continue to suffer more until you learn the lessons of how not to, and that in essence is the lesson of that, as I see it anyway. Or some shit.
No, I think it's good to connect what's going on inside us with what's going on outside us, because obviously like
it's the same thing.
It's like the collective shadow on the external is like, it's a similar, if not exactly the same as the shadow that's going on inside of us. And with anything that you've got in your own shadow, whether it might be through attachment theory or like you're avoidant, you're anxious, or whatever of the many other things that can be found in the human shadow, like that metaphor that you give was perfect, because if you've got something that's sitting there and you're subconsciously aware of it, and somebody keeps mentioning it to you, like in arguments or whatever, or it keeps showing up in a different way, you can ignore that for quite a long time. And some people will always ignore it. And it's when it gets to that point where it becomes, you can't ignore it anymore because it's so uncomfortable and it's so blatant and obvious and in your face. And it's almost the same with what's going on in the world as well. It's like with everybody that can cognitively have thoughts knows that the world needs massive changes to happen to it. Anybody with a pair of eyes and ears can see that. But it's like, oh, well, you know, it's not that bad. Oh, well, you know, we'll get through this next election.
Like apathy, isn't it? That's it,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, what's everybody waiting for? Everybody's waiting until it gets to the point where it's, oh my God, right, yeah, now we need to do it. We can't ignore this anymore. And we know that from observing our own behaviour as human beings. We will allow it to get to that stage, most of us within ourselves, before we start to make a change.
Because we're scared of looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what's going on the outside. That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, totally. And it is that. I see that in a lot of people, do you know what I mean? And there's no judgment, because fucking I did exactly the same. I did exactly the same. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere fucking near that, you know? But every single time, 100% of the time that I went looking at what that fear was and what was controlling me, you know, and talk about the, you know, that's the third density reality. This is happening to me. Every time I went and looked at what it was that I was scared of, it wasn't real. None of it was real. Because ultimately, I think that, I mean, I could give an example. Let's have a think, like, you know, keep it neutral. Anything, like the attachment, you know, it's like I was scared to show my vulnerability and to speak out my ego mind, because I thought my ego mind was stupid, or I thought it was like never going to be heard or whatever. And then I realized that this is a part of my inner child that's going, I'm scared to admit this to anybody, especially a partner, you know. It's like that I could, you know, that this is what my mind does, you know, in those situations. So instead of facing that, I run away from it. And what do I do when I run away from it? I put myself in isolation, because that's what I used to do when I was a kid. Whenever my emotions came up, I was sent to my room to sit in silence with it, and I'd have to go through it and work it all out and go, right, next time I'll make sure that that doesn't happen by I'll do this, and I'll make sure that everybody else is happy so that I feel safe within myself. You know, that's an unconscious manipulation tactic in essence, you know. It's like manipulation is a bit harsh term for it, but that's what I would do. And now I've started to speak out, you know, what it is that's going through my mind to people who love me. And when I do that, it's like, you feel this weight of, your shoulders relax and you go, fuck, why? You know, I could have done that ages ago, but it's not about, you know, I nearly said should there, never should yourself. I could have done that a while ago, but it had to get to the point of discomfort in this. And there had to be something that actually I wanted this in my life. And the only way that I can have this in my life is if I'm open and honest with what it is that I'm feeling. So it's like, that's like compassion for yourself. It's being sensitive to your own needs in life, which weren't met when I was a kid through no fault of my parents. We are a continuation of traumatic patterns that happen to us. And until it gets down to a person who's willing to be strong enough to look at that, then it continues. And I've decided that no more, you know. It doesn't happen overnight, you know. It's like there's more things that come up, you know, but that's the humility of it as well. If you think you've got it, fucking forget it. It's a daily thing. It's like working out or doing yoga or whatever it is, like, you know, whatever your thing is. But I guess that has to fall away at some point as well, so that you can really free yourself into just being in that full flow. But when I looked at that, I realized that there was nothing there. And that comes, there was other examples I could give, but that one, it like, whatever fear is there, think fear is like a force and it's pushing against you and you're going, oh shit, and you're running off this way every time. So that has control over you. So that is not you. That is a fear that's controlling you. And a lot of them are illusion. All of fears are illusionary, because like David R. Hawkins says, every single fear that we have witnessed on this earth realm, if you go and then to whatever it is, I'm scared of if I speak my truth, I might lose my job. Okay. And then if I lose my job, then I might not get another job. And then I might lose my house. And then I might end up on the street. And then I could die. It's all linked back to the fear of death. And death doesn't exist. You are never born and you never die. You are just a continual state of energy that is going in and out of this earth realm or other realms or other wherever it is. And so that is the biggest lie we've been sold. But to tell people who are in that third density that is true, it needs to be proven to them by them. It's nothing you can say. You can say all this and intellectualize it and they go, I understand that. But really the embodiment of it is something very different, I think, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, it's like alchemy. It's like what you spoke about in the beginning. By looking at that and changing the energy of the story of your old self and looking in the unconscious, it's like alchemizing the old version of you that you've always been, or the version of you that you're still being, and you transmute that energy. And then you said you can feel, and you feel different energetically, you feel like something's lifted. You transmute in energy right there. That's what alchemy looks like in real time. That's it. It's that simple. But like, from someone who's had 34 years on this earth, I've had lots of experiences, and one of the most challenging things for me up till now has been confronting emotions that aren't comfortable to feel, especially the ones where I am unconscious to where they're coming from, because they're the ones that like blindside you. It's like almost like waking up with a black eye and thinking, what's happened here? Like, where's this come from? It's aching, I can see it, I know it's there, but nobody hit me that I remember. I just woke up with this bruise on my face. And it's literally, it's about making the unconscious conscious. And until we do that, our lives are just going to be on kind of autopilot, just sleepwalking through everything.
We are the program. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like your traumas that you've been through and things like unhealed parts of yourselves are going to give you a very narrow pathway of existence unless you start to look at those things and start to be able to expand your awareness of yourself, and then you can start to have a more expanded experience of what it means to be a human being, because I know what it's like to have those goggles on and to have such a narrow vision of life. And it's, trust me, any discomfort that might be needed to go through to get to what's on the other side of it is worth it 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
1,000 times over. And I'm like, you know, like some days I wake up and I feel like I don't know anything. And like probably most days. And I feel like that now when we're sharing this journey at the minute with the avoidant attachment theory. It's like we were saying to each other, it's like, oh no, this isn't something to be scared of now. We're both like rubbing our hands like, come on then, let's have it.
Exactly.
Let's have it because you know what's on the other side of it. And it's just like, it makes life just so much more amazing when you realise, what, there's another level to this. And you've been through things like the dark night of the soul and how challenging that can be. And you get to the other side of it, and while you're in that, like for me, it was the most difficult thing I've ever been through, but the most beautiful and amazing at the same time. It's worth saying.
Path of discernment, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to sit in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait and find out.
Absolutely, yeah. And the only thing that got me through that, I was trying to force my way through it. I remember one time I was leant on my banister and I was going, come on, just go away. And I actually made myself almost faint. I gave myself palpitations and I ended up ringing an ambulance. I couldn't breathe because I stressed myself out, my body out that much. The paramedics came and they put these things on my heart. They took me to hospital because my heart was racing that much. They thought maybe there was something wrong with me. But then when everything settled down, they was like, no, you're all right, you're good to go. But because I was trying to force it so much, like I was causing physical symptoms. And then that was the turning point for me. Thank God, that's as far as it got. And then I just learned to relax, let go, trust, surrender. And that was the mantra that got me through it in the end. And yeah, that knowing how my life looked, how I felt, how I was being. I remember when I got after that 9 months once they passed, and I went outside and I went into nature, and I was looking at the trees, and I was with my ex-partner at the time, and I was like, I could actually cry at how beautiful this is. And she's like, what are you on about? And I was like, no, like honestly, you don't understand. Like this right now, this is absolutely beautiful. Just like what I'm looking at, trees, nature, the sky, hearing the birds and things like that. And now I know the absolute beauty that comes while going through a transformation, like that is so difficult and painful at the time. I know what's at the other side of that. So when there's something here, which is like the attachment theory, it's like, well, fucking give me it, The more painful, the better. The more deeply rooted this stuff is, the better. Let me pull these teeth out with pliers and let it be painful. I don't care, because the other side of it is amazing. Because I'm going to have my relationships with people are going to be so much more fulfilling. And my connections with people, I'm not going to be resisting when someone's being open and honest with me and loving. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's a bit weird, that's unfamiliar, what do you want from me?
Exactly. It's a level of distrust with it, isn't it? Because that's what our child mind is doing, and that's all that's being brought to light is like, hey, you're all right, you know what I mean? It's like, you can have nice things happen to you, and you don't have to be, it's like, and that's not to say that you don't, it's not to say that you naively go into, well, it doesn't matter actually, because it all gets worked out. Like on this path, you meet certain people who you're like, oh, you're really sound, you, and then you start to ignore certain aspects of their patterning, no judgment, and you keep allowing it. And then when you keep allowing it, then the universe is like going, oh, you want more of that, do you? And that's what we were saying before. You go back into that place of just like, you keep getting shown it, and then you get other people, until the point where you then got going, no, that's not acceptable, It's fine that you're doing that, but when you do those things, just know that I'm going to respond to it like this. And then if they keep doing these things, or, like a pattern that came up for me with people was just like, they would create a problem. And then after they created that problem, they would then play victim with it and start dictating to me that I'd done something wrong. And because of my child self that goes like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I have, yeah. And I would bend to it and I'd go like, fuck, I feel so disempowered right now. Like, this isn't right, and then it gets you to the level through these interactions that it teaches you to go, I won't put up with this anymore, and then you start, when you start going into new friendships or new interactions or whatever it is, you're then setting boundaries before you go in and go, these are my lists of how, what I will accept and what I won't accept. And that's not like a controlling thing. That's saying, when you do these things, I will respond like this. And that's a really healthy way to set a boundary. Setting a boundary isn't like, you make me feel like this when you do, that's dictating. It's like, they're doing whatever they're doing. It's irrelevant what they're doing, really. It's how you respond to what they're doing that is a massive lesson in self-love and acceptance for the other person. You're not trying to change them in any way. You're just saying, that when these things occur, I will respond like this. And then if they do those things, then you have the right to be able to say, I did say this, now I'm going to either break contact with you or, you know, we need to start looking at things differently, you know, and they are red flags or green flags, you know. It's like, if the person goes, I do apologise, yeah, I became unconscious in that side of things, can we start getting, you go, yeah, no bother. But if they then start trying to put it onto you and control you through that, then that's not okay, you know. And it's all about self-love and acceptance, and that acceptance for yourself, then accept other people. It doesn't matter what they're doing, you know. And I think you get to the awareness, and that's not to say that you allow those people into your lives over and over again, because it will just perpetuate, and you'll just feel shit, and you'll just, you know, and you'll notice these people then will just fade out of your awareness, because it's like, oh, you're lesson learned, and off you go, you know. And it's like, and if they want to take offense to it and judge you and call your name and smear campaign, fine, cool, go ahead, you know. It's like, anybody who listens to that without coming to you and validating and checking with you whether or not what they said was true, they're not the sort of people you want in your life anyway. So it's a self-filtering system. Do you know what I mean? Self-filtering system. You've got a, I think it's still running on the thing anyway. It's like,
that might be the little thing where you've got to do, you know.
I think it's a restriction. Oh. You've said something that we don't like.
Oh, right.
Like,
I don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you know, like, one of the things that's...
and you get better at setting these boundaries as well, that's it. It becomes more comfortable.
It's like before, you know, when you talk about needs, as an avoidant attachment person, it's like I've struggled with putting my needs to the forefront sometimes, and sometimes them needs can be as basic as trust and respect.
Yeah.
I want to feel like I'm respected, and I want to feel like I can trust you and you trust me.
Oh, beautiful, Matthew.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like the absence of that, like those basics in relationships are not the foundation for something that's gonna like make you feel like you're having a good human experience. And one of the things that we talk about a lot, well, like it's something you've been saying a lot recently, and I think it's amazing, and I think it needs to be said more. And that's it right there. You know,
did you catch that?
The university of life, I fucking love that. Like looking at everything, like anything that you see through your eyes is just like the university of life, isn't it? Everything.
Yeah.
The world is like
it's a soul university, isn't it? That's it. Proper.
It's like just an interactive, just fucking thing, which is just showing you things all the time, which is just showing yourself back to you through people, situations, environments, scenarios, jobs, and it's always checking to see if you're paying attention, and then it's checking to see if you've learnt the lesson, and it'll come back around to you to check again to see if you've remembered the lesson that you've learnt. And then, like we say, things are going to get louder if you're not listening, and it's just always interacting with you. And like your perception of everything is so important, as is like, oh, I'm a victim to this, for example, or this person is more powerful than me, or this situation is more powerful than me. If you start looking at everything through the lens of it's like the university of life, like, because I think that's really good. It's like, well, what has this come to teach me? Not like this is controlling to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's things don't have to have the control over you. It's you only have the control over you that you give them.
Yeah, that you allow. It's a consensual universe as well. It's like, you know, it's like the powers at work. They can't affect us if we don't consent to it.
100%.
Look at everything that's happened over the last 4 years and things. You know, it's just like if you say okay, then it's fair game, because that's free will, isn't it? You know, it's like you can't complain about that either. It's like it's about taking our sovereignty back and really realizing that we hold the power here, and that power is exemplified beautifully through the. I lost my train of thought there. What was I going to say? Yeah, through you looking at fears and being able to regulate your nervous system, so that when these challenges or these let's look at a better way, these experiences come up, these subjective experiences, we can then, instead of going like, oh my God, that's really scary, go, oh cool, I'm going to learn a lot here, you know what I mean? Or like, oh great, this is a chance for me to stand up, you know what I mean? And be who I am. Or, you know, it's like, and we're as a society, we've been sold this, you know, oh well, the governments are in charge, and it's just like, well, hang on a minute, like who put them there originally? Like I always said this growing up was like, why are these people in charge? You know, like, who put them people there? Like, what are they better than us? Like, you know, it's like, and it's something that came to me the other day. It's like, you know, the Pope is just a dude. He's just a guy with some clothes on, and he's going, "I'm the Pope," and it's like, are you? Or you just fucking? You could be called Barry.
He still has to go wipe his arse, doesn't he?
He still wipes his ass, you know what I mean? He'll still have weird fucked up dreams and that and wake up in frights and stuff, like, you know, probably more than most, you know? It's like, I don't know the guy, I can't judge them, you know, but I'm just saying that, you know, who put these people up there? Well, we fucking did, you know, through consent, you know? We go like, oh yeah, we'll put who's all up there, and you know, it's like the Jubilees and things like this, I'll worship the lords and stuff. It's like, well, you're giving your power away to these people, you know? It's like, I'm sure all of the funds and things could be directed in a different way. I don't know about any of that stuff anyway, but you know, it's like, what I'm saying is like, we give consent and we actually perpetuate not only our own internal struggles and strife and then blame other people for it, but we also hold up this society that's, yeah, in many ways is a beautiful thing. You know, it helps a lot of people, but right now it's crumbling because it doesn't work fundamentally. It's a twisted thing. You know what I mean? And it's finding that sovereignty within ourselves. And it's like, yeah, I see the system as it is, but how about we create something within myself first that is true and isn't based on falsity or whatever, and then we're able to create something new from that. But it all starts within us, you know.
Yeah.
It is. That's where the real power lies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into politics or any of that stuff because I know very little about it. I only found out that
who the PM was.
Yeah, the other day.
Yeah.
The other day. How long's he been in power? Do you know? I don't know.
Not really. A couple of months or something.
Oh, is it?
I don't know,
right.
but I think it's a couple of months. Yeah. I remember people going to vote on that because I saw them all outside the town hall in Lancaster, and I drove past them.
Ah, okay.
And people were like, "Oh, there's a voting thing going on," and then I sort of looked into who got in after that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I definitely don't look into anything like that. But yeah.
Yeah, because even giving a slight bit of sort of attention to that is kind of holding it up, and that's why like protesting will never work. Protesting will never work because you're literally going like your energy is going towards this thing, and it's like, how about you use that energy and put it into yourself and change the locality around you instead of complaining about something that's happening wherever, like outside of what you're able to do anything about.
Well, one of the
it's
best
virtue signaling, I guess.
One of the best things I read in like this book, it was like saying who we are matters more than what our bodies do. Our frequency matters more than our thoughts or something like that. And it basically went on to say the Buddha who sits alone on top of a mountain, meditating, vibrating out the frequency of peace, will do far more to serve humanity than will the angry peace marcher who marches so vehemently for peace. And he's like, it's like the definition of shout.
Why isn't everybody peaceful?
Yeah, or shouting for silence. It's like the definition of shouting for silence.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it? Be quiet. Well, if you just shut up, then it fucking would be quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it's like...
you've got to be what it is that you want to see in the world. Don't try and change it on the external, because the external it's crumbling now for a reason, you know? It's like, and that is awakening everybody here, you know? It's like, but the only thing you can do is sort your internal stuff out so that you're able to emanate that frequency, and that is the scale of consciousness. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, the scale of consciousness, go and look it up and see where you are on that scale, because that will give you a very, very good idea as to where to go next, or what to do next, or like how to, you know, sort of like it gives you a measurement of where you are basically in your consciousness, and that's a really healthy thing to know how to do, because it starts to take that. I think a lot of people they want to change, but they're scared to, because in a world that, you know, we've been brought up in certain ways that we had to be a perfectionist or whatever it is. So we're too scared to admit that we don't know. And actually, the real power that we all have is saying like, oh, I don't know. This confuses me. It scares me that I'm confused about it. Or it's, that I'm confused, so then that leads to fear, and then it leads to inaction, you know, and it leads to a bit of sort of stagnancy, I guess. So you don't move, so you just stay there. And actually what we could do is really just sort of go, I don't know, I'm scared. Yeah, and it's like, that is massive to the universe, you know. It's like your higher self hears you say that, and it goes like, fucking yeah, man. You know, it's like, you know, and the higher self is you. There's no separation between you and your higher self. It's just we've forgotten, you know. And it's a process as well. It's like we don't have to have these awarenesses straight away. You know, that idea of just we need to hurry things along, that's the ego talking. The soul is never in a rush. The ego always wants things to be done tomorrow, whereas we realise that it's the journey, and actually the journey is the fucking awesome part of it. Because when we die, we'll look back and we will realise it was like, shit, it was all fucking great, and I was worrying about it so much. And it's like, yeah, nah, man. Just,
it's like they say, don't they? He who enjoys the journey will always go further than he who enjoys the destination.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, exactly.
Because the destination never arrives.
Exactly.
It's always something outside of your reach. And then when you get to that one, it's like, where are we going now? And you never enjoy the present moment if you're doing that. Whereas if you start to lean into all those things that you're scared about, or you're like going, oh, fuck, I don't want to go there. It's like lean into it and you go like, oh, actually, this is quite enjoyable, you know?
Yeah.
If you're around people who also, like, it helps so much. Like, you know, the connection that I have with you, the connection that I have with Alex, with Kate, with all these people now who are coming into my awareness, who are consciously aware and are willing to do the work and are realizing that this is the joyous part of it, you know. It's like, that is massive, you know. But it's all about humility and going, I don't have it all sorted, and I'm not perfect, and you can't be, you know. But
how did you so to call it, to sort of give it a frame, like, I see cognitive dissonance happening, and you mentioned it, where there's people before the stage, so they're in between, completely lost in thought, completely lost in the matrix. They're not quite there, but they've not quite reached, I'm confused, I'm scared, I need help. They're in that cognitive dissonance phase where they're in between two worlds. They kind of almost like Cypher in the Matrix, want that ignorance is bliss, delve back in, wipe my memory, this was more comfortable, but they can't go back there. And then they've not quite done this yet. So, like, can you remember being in that phase, that cognitive dissonance phase, for want of a better expression? Can you remember being in it?
I think I'm still there in ways.
To
be honest, like, in certain ways, I am. It's like there'll be things that come up that are very scary, isn't it? But I don't know. I can't remember a point specifically because it's still there in certain ways. Like, you know, I think it's a consistent thing, you know. Obviously there's different severities of it, you know. There's real ignorance of what's happening, you know, and then there's just like, oh, I'm scared of that, you know. It's like, but what was the switch in order to, it was finding the excitement and realizing that the other side of that discomfort, once you start to do it once or twice, then you realize that, shit, this is the cream. This is fucking awesome, you know? And that then, like, literally, you then go hunting for it. And it's like emotions in your body. You know, I was scared, like, you know, after my bufo, after my 5-MeO DMT that I did, I went psychotic for 8 months. I was in the most amount of fear ever. Like, the thoughts that were going through my head were beyond hell terror. It was literally, I was so scared that if I died, I was going to go to hell because I'd felt what hell felt like. And it was the ego mind. Now I've discerned it's the ego mind trying to control everything and realizing that you have no control and you've got to let go and surrender. That was the lowest ebb of my life. But then after I literally meditated into that feeling, instead of like just being scared of that fear and running away from it, then I started to turn around, and instead of going, fuck, I'm scared of that, no, leave that, I went, that's interesting. You know, when that feeling came up, oh, that was just a feeling. That was just energy in my body. I can't be scared of that. So then I shelved it for that night, and I was like, right, tomorrow I'm going to go into that shit. I'm going to go fucking balls deep on it. So I set myself up and I sat there and just sat in meditation. And this is why the breath and meditation, doing fuck all, literally doing nothing, is so powerful. Because then I went, right, what did I feel like in that experience? Right, where is it? You know, and I was just like, I kept repeating like, fuck, 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 shit, shit. And I was just like, that's what I did in that trip. I was terrified and I felt I was in there forever, you know. And it was the most amount of fear you can feel. You can't feel more fear than that. It was fucking awful, fire agrees. And I went looking for it. Instead of running away from it, I literally went looking for the emotion. And then it came up and it fucking built inside of me and I fucking cried it out for like 40 minutes an hour, just pure scream crying into a pillow, you know, getting it all up and out of my system. When I was done and I tried to go look for that emotion that was coming up and then it was creating all these thoughts in my mind, when I went looking for it and I released it, and that's why crying is so powerful, somatic work's so powerful. You don't have to do this stuff forever though. That's a big one on this, you know, you've got to heal from healing eventually. But it came up and out. And then the next day I remember going like, fuck, 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 shit, 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 shit. And it wasn't there. It had been transmuted. It had been alchemized within my body. It had been released through tears, you know? And like, that's what I'd say is like, if you're in that place and you're scared of those thoughts and those feelings, go deeper into it, delve into it and go like, where are you? Come on then, you know? Because then the fear goes, oh, shit, he's realized the game. You know, it's like he's realised the game of alchemy, and that's it. It's literally just going, who do I think I am? What does my ego mind tell me I am? And why am I scared of that? You know, and it's like, because I can guarantee to every single person who's listening to this, once you start turning around and you start facing that stuff and going into it, it doesn't matter if you're scared of things out here or in here, if you go looking for them, then you start to gain control over it. Yeah. And then you can release it and let it go and you realise there was nothing there anyway. But like, yeah, go deeper into it. If you're scared of your children being murdered, if you're scared of your dog getting run over, go through that situation in your mind over and over and over and over again until it goes and it's not there anymore. You know, and you'll feel the emotions come up and cry it out, scream it out, punch it out, laugh it out. Doesn't have to be all crying and screaming and stuff. You can laugh your way to fucking enlightenment. You know what I mean? It's like, doesn't have to be all scary shit. But a lot of the time it helps to cry it out, you know? And it'll be a messy cry. It'll be like, oh, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I don't know what the fuck's going on. You know, it's like, that's what I would say. That's what worked for me, you know? Can't tell anybody what to do, but that's what worked for me.
I feel, I feel like clues to all of this stuff is like in like films and stuff as well, and songs and everything else. But when you was explaining that in my mind, when you're like, so you built up to be this thing, and then when it was this fear, and then when I faced the fear, it was like, oh, the fear was like, oh, here he is, he's not scared of me anymore.
Yeah.
And I could see, you know the film The Wizard of Oz. You know, when they go into that big room and there's that all that smoke and those loud noises and stuff, and those fireworks.
I'm the Wizard of Oz.
And then they open the door and there's just some fat little old man just stood there pressing buttons.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's like the same thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. And that's what you will realise every time you go into anything that you're scared of. You're going to just find that it's metaphorically just a fat little old man pressing buttons.
Yeah.
And he's probably more scared of you.
Yeah, exactly. And then you show love and compassion to that as well, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You know. Yeah. It is. It's reflected so much in films and stuff. You know, they're again, you know, the system as it is. In order to, there's no separation in it as well. Now that's what you realise. You come to the point where you're going like, it's all trying to help you awaken yourself. Yeah. You know, absolutely. And that's when you can come to a place of neutrality with it. And then you can come to a place of acceptance with it. Yeah. And then you really start to become a creator of your life. And that's when things really start to shift and get very interesting, you know, and really cool, you know. Is that the thing?
Oh, right, yeah, like the little jigsaw thing.
Yeah. Oh, it burns really hot as pine. It's lovely. But yeah, we're sat out here and it's like, you know, I come with like enough wood to get a fire started and then we're going just literally break down like dead trees and stuff that are already seasoned and we just sit it on there. So it's like all from the earth and then of course bare feet as well. It's like, yeah, and we just had some beautiful, beautiful food. Fuck, mate.
Yeah, I think they can hear us, which is good. Yeah. It's like, you know what I think sometimes, especially when me and you are talking and stuff, because it brings it up. Like, if you was God, which you are, right, which we all are, and you was thinking, you sat there at your dinner table and you're thinking, all right, I need to create this world, and this world is going to be the most perfectly, divinely designed realm for all these things where people are going to experience the deepest depths of sadness and fear.
Separation, isn't it?
And this thing, I'll create this thing called emotion, and there's a full spectrum, and these ones don't feel nice and these ones feel amazing, and people are going to want this more than this, but they're both as important as each other. And then we're going to create this like subconscious patterning where people aren't going to be aware of why they're feeling a certain way, and then the world's going to appear to be chaos, but actually it's perfectly orchestrated to trigger them into their awakening, so they can realize that the only thing that's going to empower them is themselves finding who they are once again. And you're like, well, obviously. And then you look at everything, you're like, well, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Here it is. That's it.
Yeah.
How awesome,
Yeah.
you know, that God decided to fractalize himself off into these, you know, the way I saw it as an image, and it's like a light beam that's going across, and it's just like, it's like light beam. And then all of a sudden something happens, and it's like, and then a bit fractures off.
Yeah.
You know, it like gets disturbed by something, because that's it, you know, and then all of these things then go spread out and become like infinite, you know. And that's what we are. We're little fractalized bits of light, and our bodies are just made of light. It feels as though there's something hard there, but it's not. It's all a frequency, you know, of different things. And you know, it's like for people, you know, a good example is like, is this your finger? You know, and you know, somebody, you know, without the awareness would go like, yeah, that's my finger. It's like, well, let's cut it off, right? And it's like, oh, is that still your finger? You know, and it's like, I don't know. Bang, we'll cut your hand off. Yeah, it's like, is that still your hand? Are you any less you because your hand is missing? It's like, bang, chop this bit of your arm. Bang, that bit of your arm off. Yeah, done, bam, 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 bam. Are you any less you now? Are you any less able to, you know, have all these stories that create what you think you are? You aren't your body. You're also not your mind. You know, your mind is a culmination of things that you've drawn from the past that you bring into this now moment that then creates your future reality. You know, but similarly, like if you lost all your body, are you any less you? No, because we just go back again. You know, it's like we are water in essence, you know, and the cycle of water is the same as humans coming down and incarnating on Earth, and same as anything that comes down and incarnates on Earth. It's all that progression. So it starts off in the heavens, you know, and then it comes down as rain droplets, individual droplets seemingly. And then those individual droplets culminate together and they form streams. Then after that, they form rivers. Then after that, they could form estuaries. Then they become the sea. And then after the sea, what do they then become? They then they evaporate back up into the heavens. They get carried over, they get dropped again. And it's that beautiful, we are that cycle. And you look at nature and anything, if you look at anything long enough, you'll realize that you are that thing. You know, you are whatever, you are the moss that we walk on, you are the fire, you are the trees. It's all the same thing, you know. And that's where the awareness you get to, and that frees you, because you realize that once you die, you don't die, and that death, it actually is a beautiful part of this process. You know, and if you're not done with this lifetime, you can come back and do it again if you want. You can relive the same life if you want to. This is infinity, you know. Or you can say, oh, I'm done with Earth now, you know. It's like, I learned my lessons there, I'll just have a holiday somewhere else or whatever, you know. It's like, this isn't it entirely, you know, but it is as well. That's the paradox of it, you know. It's everything and nothing, you know. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is, don't be scared of death. Death's this thing that we've been scared to look at, and it's like that fear that held me in that place of suffering for so long, and that's what humanity's going through on a macrocosm level, is they're scared of looking at death. Whereas when I was younger, I had experiences before the age of like 12, you know, I had like 2 near-death experiences. I was told that I was going to potentially die. I was going to bleed out if I left the hospital bed at like the age of 8. That shit to an 8-year-old fucking sticks with you, man. But what did that make me do? That made me, from a place of neutrality, what did that make me do? That made me look at life and what is death, and it made me curious about that, and it's brought me to where I am now, like studying this stuff and like going balls deep on it. It's like, you know, and from that, then it frees you. But a lot of humanity right now, especially in the West, can't say about other countries, you know, it's like India have a better understanding of it or understanding of it. But yeah, in the West, I think we're so terrified of death that we try and just put it off and say it's not happening, and that's why we get like Botox or, you know, anti-aging cream, because we're trying to trick this thing and saying like, no, I'm all right, it's okay, I don't want to look at it. And in that, we're giving our power away to it, because that fear of death holds us, you know, and keeps us in that cycle of trying to make up for it in a material way, I guess, you know. You know, it's like,
yeah. Fear of death is a big one, isn't it?
yeah.
It's a big one. Like I've known people who've like had a perpetual fear of death take a hold in their life. For this one girl, actually, a couple of years. It was there for a couple of years in her life, and she couldn't stop thinking about it, that one day she's going to die and that and all this kind of stuff. She eventually managed to free herself from it, but I wonder how many people like are kind of there now. It's like, for me, death's birth. Death is being birthed into the real you.
Yeah.
And then you come back here. It's like you're basically being put into this dream. So the coming here is more of a death than actually dying here, in essence. So yeah, it's something that there's fucking books on it and all sorts. Now, they're like literally getting you ready for it and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think that the but then what, like most fears, if not all, you know, like you say, can be brought back exactly to that. It's the fear of dying, the fear of mortality, of losing your body, losing your mind, and all that stuff that is actually not yours to begin with anyway. You know, so
totally. And it's like, with, you know, and that fear of death holds us back so much because of, like, all the way through, for people who don't know, like, all the way through from having those experiences when I was younger that really stuck out to me. Like, you know, I remember going downstairs, and one night I couldn't sleep. My guides fucking nudging me. They still do it now to keep me awake at nights when they want me to feel certain things and that. And I went downstairs, and I was maybe about, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. Mum and Dad were watching Horizon, and it was about the Yellowstone National Park exploding. And I remember watching this as a young person, and literally in that they said like, oh, it's going to explode and it's going to literally kill the earth and everybody's going to die. And I was literally watching this as a young kid going like, oh, fuck, right? Oh, shit. Everybody who I love and like I care for and everything, that my family, you know, my extended family, they're all going to die. And like, I spent my whole life being petrified of my family dying, you know. And there was a level of that now is showing up now. There's that patterning is showing up, and it's going, you're scared to make connections on a deep level in some way within yourself and to the external, you know, with the people who you love around you, because you're scared that you're going to lose them one day, you know. And it's like, and that was huge for me to realize that, you know. It's like, because then you can start to do something about it. But, you know, so I would push people away, you know, and they may have perceived that as being like, you know, I don't know, like arrogant, or what, not arrogant, it's the wrong term, but, you know, I would push people away unconsciously because I didn't want to lose them, you know. And it's like, it's only come up well in the last couple of years really that I'm starting to bring awareness to it, you know. And it's like a deeper level. So it's like I was always pushing away happiness and things like that, you know, in order for me to feel safe, when actually if I got to the end of my life and I look back and I went like, shit, I didn't make them connections because I was scared of death in essence, you know. It's like, and everybody dying and me losing them. But actually I didn't lose them from that. I lost them from my perception of it. because I never went there. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's not to say the people who fall away and filtered out your way. It's like the deeper connections that you want to make with people. You know, I noticed myself very recently doing that. It's like I push them away and I'm going, what is this at a deeper level? You know, what is that? You know, that fear there that's stopping this beautiful connection. And it's just myself and my thoughts, really. But bringing that conscious awareness to that pattern, you're like, oh, right, I don't have to do that anymore. And I can continue in a way now that is a lot more unified and whole. And like, you know, it's fucking amazing, because now I'm going for it and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, man. Like, you know, some beautiful people in my life, and I won't do that anymore. You know, it's like,
yeah, it's. I think it's almost like the fear of the. At its root, it's almost like a fear of emotion, because it's the emotion that would be felt if losing those people.
Yeah.
So again, it's like trying to shy away from the full spectrum of human emotion. Yeah. And trying to, that's a fucking big one, isn't it? and trying to kind of.
Thank you very much. The log's all right.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's emotions. Like, we're scared to feel our emotions, and I'm an avoidant attachment style as well. And like, obviously, when I was younger and stuff.
Well, we're not. That's it. It's just our patterns, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's something I'd do. Like, when I was younger, I'd try to avoid certain situations, or I'll wait till you're sword. Oh, quick blast on this. Can everyone hear us or what?
Right.
Oh, by the way, can everyone hear us?
How many are on?
Oh, go on. 7. Oh, yeah, they can hear us. Buzzing. No, can hear the saw, mate. Yeah, the saw stopped sawing now. We finished sawing.
It's raw, this.
What's raw?
Love it.
What is?
It's nice. It's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's emotion, isn't it? Avoiding emotion.
Yeah.
The emotion of like losing someone.
Yeah, and that's and the reality of it is, you know, I noticed it with my family. You know, I was doing it with my family. I didn't want to get too close to them, because there was this childlike fear that I had that, you know, it's like they're going to die, and it's like, guess what? They are going to die, and I'm going to die, and like, but death, you know, fear doesn't keep you from dying; it keeps you from living.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of fucking, you know, being a victim to that, or letting that overpower me, because it's stopping these good things coming into my life. And so now I'm just going, fuck it, let's go and see. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you know, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, great. You know, it's like, that's the.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, being a human. It's like, before me and Sam went for like just a quick walk, and we saw this river, and Sam was telling me it's where he used to do cold water therapy. He used to get in there and have a dip. And if anyone's ever been in the cold water, it's one of the most uncomfortable things you can do.
Yeah.
Wim Hof himself. So Wim Hof, he lost his wife to suicide. She jumped off the 6th floor off a building, and the pain of that was so crippling and so great for Wim Hof that he tried searching for certain things to make it go away. And then one day he discovered this ice cold water, and he got in the water, and it was all of a sudden, all he could think about was the pain of how cold he was. And then he learned to be at peace with that discomfort. And then he developed the Wim Hof method. He went on to set loads of world records, and he's done amazing things to show people the power of the breath. And I actually myself was helped. The biggest tool which helped me the most during my dark night was breathwork that I discovered, and it was Wim Hof method breathwork.
Yeah, for releasing emotions and stuff.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
That was it. So it was regulating my parasympathetic nervous system, which is what it does, which basically calms you down. And also I was able to bring emotion to the surface, which was what was trying to happen during my dark night. But the cold water part of it, like if anyone's ever got in cold water before and then felt how you feel at the other side of it, like that alone, you could just take that and nothing else, and that is what it means to be human. It's doing something which is extremely uncomfortable, coming out the other side of it, hating every minute of it at times, but then coming out the other side of it and feeling so much better than you did before it happened. Going to the gym is going on a diet and getting like a body which makes you feel energetic and you feel happier in. Doing shadow work, looking at your unconscious, being in the spirit world, whatever, like none of us know what that is, and then coming down to be a human and then going back to that. Because I bet you any money when we go back to that, it's the equivalent, it's like of what this would be like. It's like if we was to do an ice bath, for example, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but an ice bath, you get in, it's uncomfortable, you get out, it's over, you feel loads better. Human life's probably the same for our soul. But then it's broken down into loads and hundreds and thousands of mini versions of that as we go through the human journey as well. And it just shows us it over and over again. You're experiencing what you're not to discover what you are 1,000 times. And that's what it means to be a human being. Do you know what I mean?
And it's infinite and it goes on forever, isn't it? It's like, you know, so literally the takeaway is fucking just enjoy it. Like, you know, enjoy everything. You know, it's not to say like a masochist or whatever, you know, and you go out there and you just, you know, obviously do things that feel good and aligned and harmonistic with your energy. You know what I mean? Don't just go out there and, well, I'm just going to, you're saying that I can just go out and do anything I want. No, follow your highest joy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you'll find your way there. Don't put any stress on yourself to think that it must be done yesterday or whatever. That's all your ego getting involved in trying to fucking, like, just make it harder than it needs to be, you know, and recognise the thoughts. And you don't have to follow certain thoughts. And that's what you realise when you're doing cold water is just like, you know, how much are you thinking when you're in there? No, you're just like, fuck, this is cold. You know, it's like brings you back to that instantly. I'm going to get another wheelie bin or something like that. If anybody listening to this and wants to give me one of them ice bath things, that'd be great. Similarly with Matty as well. Because that when you discipline yourself to be able to do these things in the morning, you know, when you're in that place of feeling like you need to do that, I don't think you have to do these things endlessly, you know what I mean? You know, you find other things that work and you don't have to be so strict and rigid with these things. But find something that makes you feel good in a day. And that's subjective to everybody, do you know what I mean? Don't go out there and think, oh, here we go, lead on spiritual idealism, because I lost a lot of, I gained a lot of knowledge through following what somebody else was doing or thinking that I had to be like them, and it fucking stole my joy. It really did, you know. It's like so many times I'd like get somewhere and I'd be like, I'm really happy with myself now, and then I'd watch a video and be like, oh, actually no, I've got to do it. Maybe I have to do it like that, and maybe I wasn't doing it right and all the rest of it. Fuck all that noise. Like, you've just got to do what it is that's right for you. Ignore what anybody else is doing. You find your own way to whatever it is that you're looking, you know, that you're seeking for. You find your way to yourself, basically. That's it. You know, and don't worry what anybody else is doing. And if you're being judged by people, realise that if they're judging you, they're judging a part of themselves, you know, and if they don't have compassion for you, then they're also judging a part of yourself. And I've done this on this journey. I've judged others and I've made the mistakes and I've fucked up, you know, but also it gets to a point where you will start pissing people off. When you start aligning to who you truly are, you will trigger the living shit out of people. You know, and that's just a part of it. And it's something that you've got to get all right with. If you are really to commit yourself to yourself in order for you to be happy, when you start stepping into these realms of self-love and self-acceptance, you will piss people off because they don't love themselves. And just let them filter out of your reality for now. They may come back in later. Don't be attached to that. You've just got to keep doing what it is that you're doing for your highest good. If you're not happy, you can't have the people around you happy, you know? It's like, that is huge. And it's been the biggest pitfall of mine, worrying what people think of me because they've made a judgment on what they've heard somebody else say or they've heard one of my videos and they've gone like, oh, that's about me. He's talking about me. No, it's not about you, but you think it's about you and you're judging me and blaming me for something when actually it's you're reflecting, you're going like, oh, that's triggering me, fuck him. Delete and block him, it's like, it's not about you. You are creating that. You are thinking that is about you. Yeah. And some part of you believes that is about you because if there's something in there that needs to be released, and that's the thing, it's like, the healers are them people who do trigger people and make people uncomfortable, not through force. You're not going out there and going, you need to do this or whatever it is. It's like, you've got to be okay with yourself. And if that means that you walk this path alone for a little while, then that's the way it is. But then you will start to vibrate at a frequency that brings other people of a similar frequency to you. And that is when it gets really nice, because then you can share that honest love and you can say things that may trigger the other person, but then the other person goes like, shit, yeah, that happens to me as well. And you meet this beautiful place of accountability with the world. That's when it really gets joyous and interesting. Like you and I, do you know what I mean? Me and Alex, me and Kate, all of these beautiful people coming in now, it's like, they're people who I can speak to open and honestly and go like, I know I'm not going to be judged here. And it might actually help the other person to realise something about themselves that's unconscious as well. Whereas you've got people who, say certain things and they just like, fuck you, fuck you, they get fuck away from me, there's no accountability there. They will drain your energy, okay? Get them people out of your awareness for now. And that's no judgment to them. They're where they are. You accept them as they are. Thusly, you have to accept yourself and where you are. Yeah. And that's been such a hard part of this journey for me, and millions of others I know, it's like.
And it's like, me and you speak on a daily basis, and so often you'll say things and I'll be like, people need to hear that. And I'm glad that what you just said then was recorded, because that was one of them things where I would have gone, I wish we was recording that, or that's important for people to know, because it's fucking
huge part of this journey.
Massively
huge part of this journey.
It is. Like you can be accepting of others and accept them where they are, but then you've got to accept yourself and accept you where you are. And what that also means in accepting yourself is accepting the fact that you're affected in a negative way by spending time around that person.
Yeah.
And you can accept somebody, but just because you accept them as they are, it doesn't mean that you need to give them the same place in your life that they've had for the past however long you've known them for.
Yeah.
Because if you've discovered that they're disturbing you in some way, and your peace, which is very important and needs protecting, is better off without them for a little while or forever, whatever, then let them go. The only people that benefit from you not having boundaries, the only people that don't like it when you start having boundaries are the ones that was benefiting from you not having any.
Yeah.
So why would you want that person in your life?
Yeah.
It's
people pleasing. It's a part of us that's conditioned, isn't it? It's like, yeah,
massively. I remember getting to the other side of the dark night of the soul, and you just got so much empathy for humanity. You got so much empathy because you felt like as some of the deepest shit that there is to be felt, and when you come out of that, you've just got a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion. And for me, like I was at a phase there where I was most able to be taken advantage of, and I kind of noticed some people was doing that. Some close family members who I don't speak to anymore, trying to be controlling and trying to they have an expectation. They've got an expectation, and it's like, okay, I think life should be like this. Yeah.
They've built an idea of who you are as well, isn't it? Yeah, an identity. And when you don't meet that identity, then we need to try and control you to get you back to how we want you. Yeah,
it's like exactly. And it's like, I have an expectation of when you should see this member of the family, or how frequently. And like, if I didn't meet that, because I'm like, well, I don't feel like that, and neither do they. No one else feels like that. It's only you that feels like that. And then they're like giving me abusive phone calls and messages and stuff. Like, this actually happened to me. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like, you're the only person that's bothered about this. They don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
This is purely about your lack of control over me. because for some reason you're lacking some control over yourself. So you're trying to project that onto me. Fucking leave me alone. And then I allowed it to happen about 3 times, and then I was just like, okay, sorry, but that's enough. And just like, I think I've not spoke to them in 2 years. And every now and again, something will come in, whether it be another member of family, you know, coming from a good place from their perspective. Oh, do you think it's time you spoke to them? Or they said they missed you the other day. And I'll be like, when a conversation happens and there's clear boundaries, which might trigger them away from being able to continue in the conversation before it's even began, because I'm going to be like, control is an absolute no. Like, you don't tell me anything that I'm allowed to do in my life unless I'm directly affecting your physical or mental well-being or somebody you care about. If it's just something that your subjective opinion stipulates that I'm supposed to do because you would prefer that, then you can get fucked. Because I've got my own life to live. And I've got my own shit to worry about without having to worry about, so I've got all these things. I spend so much time battling with my own fucking thoughts. I don't need to deal with yours as well. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know how hard it is in here? Fuck off.
I don't need any more fucking weight added to that, which I'm already dealing with. Like, just let me deal with my shit. You're obviously struggling. That's why you're fucking trying to put your stuff onto me. But you fucking deal with that. You want some help with it, I'll help you. But just let me do me. I'm a fucking man.
Firstly, you do you. That's it, And that's it. That's a big, like, thing to say to people. If they are trying to control you or whatever, just go, you do you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. I remember some lady was kicking off at us a few years ago to start my awakening, really. It was just like we're at a fire, barbecue and things like this, and this lady came up to us, and I can't remember how we got onto it anyway, and she was just like, so you're vegan then? I was just like, no, I'm not vegan like that. And I know, it's a typical one.
But I know where this is going though.
You know, and it's like, so you're vegan then? I'm like, no. I was like, no, I still eat meat from time to time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm vegetarian a lot, and so I was just, how can you call yourself this, that, and the other when you're saying like that? And I just looked her dead in the eyes, and I just went, you do you, love. Yeah? Hey, you do you. Don't you project your shit onto me, because all that is that's your shame complex coming forward, and now you're trying to project that onto me, saying I must be a certain way. Yeah? That's your own shit. Yeah? From that moment on, she was nice as pie with us, because she was like, can't get through this fucker, oh my God, he sees me, shit, I better be really nice to him. And it's like, yeah, because that's that respect that I showed to her. I was very, like, I wasn't like, with her, I was just like, no, you do you. Don't worry about me, you know. And I didn't react to her trying to control me. And that's where I kept all the power within me, you know. And it was a very interesting dynamic. But you notice those people, they're the most insecure ones. They're the ones who are trying to control you and trying to say you need to do this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? And I know this because I was insecure and I tried to control people at certain times.
Yeah, been there myself.
Like, that's it. You've got to walk that bit of the path in order to realise that isn't you. That's not the way that you go about things. No. And for anybody listening to this, if you're making mistakes in life, fucking bang on. Yeah. Good. If you weren't making mistakes and you were complying to everything, you're going along with what everybody else thinks and you're liked by everybody, I would be start to be slightly worried about that. Because like that is not harmonious for yourself, and you will be unintegral to a certain part of yourself if you're trying to be liked by everybody. Love endlessly where you can. But if that love is falling on deaf ears and all the rest of it, do not waste your energy on people. Yeah. You know, it's like, be very protective of your energy, and you will, on this path, if you're doing it right, like if you're walking it true to you, then you will lose a lot of people. Yeah. And it's a good part, it's not a good thing, but it is the natural part of this process. You know? You can't go around trying to be liked by everybody, because if you're liked by this person, and then this person, and this person over here, and you're agreeing with all of them, that means that you're being unintegral to a certain part of yourself, and your soul knows that, and it'll feel it, and it'll try and get you into that place where you are being integral. So get used to being on your own. I've spent so much time on my own over these last 4 or 5 years. So much time on my own, you know, and it's everybody's just like, you're not lonely. It's like, no, you're lonely because you think that you need everybody else around you validating who you are all the time. So you're giving your power away to people. It's like, you can do that. It's part of the journey, isn't it? You know, but I would say not to.
Yeah, I spend most of my time on my own now. It's been that way for a while.
hammering out wanks in the bedroom.
That's it, man. Why do you think this arm's so much bigger than that one?
Tennis. I thought it was tennis.
Yeah. No, I play with different kind of balls. No, yeah, it's one of them. Like I spend a lot of time on. Like I get texts, and I love him. I've got a mate called Kieran. Hello, Kieran, if you're watching. But he invites me out, and all he ever wants to do is go and get on the piss. And 5, 6 times a year, I'll go and I'll allow myself a few pints of Guinness. I'll do that. You know, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
That's a big part of this as well. Don't be
do.
so strict on this journey that you deny yourself things that you like.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Yeah.
And I'll go and do it, and then the next day I'll remember why I don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. In moderation. That's it.
But yeah, and all he wants to do is that, and you know, I'll text him now and again and say, "Do you not just fancy going for a coffee?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm at work or whatever." And it's like, well, you got 2 choices, and that's just one example, and I'm sure everybody's got 1,000. But you've got 2 choices: be alone or be in company that's going to lead you to doing something that you don't really want to do. Which one are you going to do? So that's your choice right there. And that doing something that you don't want to do could be a huge spectrum of things, from something which is a little bit of an inconvenience, like you can't be asked walking to the shop, to going on a 3-day bender or whatever else it might be. Do you know what I mean? Whatever suits your narrative. But I just find myself like very comfortable in my own skin, just chilling out at home. Bit of meditation, and then just connecting with people when I feel like I want to. Plus, I feel like right now at the moment, and we talk about like the energies and stuff, but I feel like the energy is pretty strong at the moment, and I feel like I'm needing to rest quite a bit more than normal and meditate a bit more than normal, and that sort of thing. So there's that side of it as well, and it's like self-love and self-care. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't feel guilty for putting your own needs first. Yeah, self-care is so important. If you need to spend time alone,
self-care is not selfish.
You don't need to feel guilty for being at home and to say no to your friends if they're going and doing something that you don't want to do. Don't feel guilty for it, because you're going to end up feeling guilty for yourself otherwise. Be okay making somebody feel uncomfortable for 30 seconds when you say no to them, rather than you being uncomfortable for 6, 7, 8 hours while you're out doing the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Unintegral and that's exactly it, you know. And you can't lie to yourself about that either, you know. It's like, and a lot of people do, you know. It's like, and that's why we're just compromising every part of ourselves for confluence. And that confluence doesn't mean that you're going to be in any way aligned to yourself, you know. And sometimes it is best to just go, nah, I'm all right for tonight, you know. It's like, but I'd much rather be doing stuff like this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then you realise that you don't really need anything anymore. You know what I mean? You don't really need any stimulants or anything. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a joint every now and again, or a beer, or like, you know, just going out and having a fucking massive rave, or going to a festival and getting proper messy every now and again. You know, it's a really good thing. I think it's a healthy thing to do. You've got to balance this, you know, this discipline and stuff, you know. You can be all like David Goggins all the time and stuff. Yeah, that's fine, but find the middle path with everything in it, you know. But the more you do walk this path, the more you realise that the joy is in just sitting and doing fuck all, and like, you know, watching a bit of fishing, or going fishing for me, or you know, coming out and having a fire with you, and like, just going out for walks, you know, in the lakes and stuff like that. That was so fucking great that day, you know what I mean? It's like, that stuff is that's where it's at, you know. Connection with people, but connect with the people who you really want to connect with, not just people who want you to go out, you know, for them, really. It's like, you know, always make sure that you're being integral to yourself, you know, because, it's, don't compromise. And it's the shadow side of myself massively, was I would compromise every part of myself. And now it's moving into competence, you know, where I'm being competent with myself and confident, and also with myself, you know, and finding out what it is that I truly want. Because all the way through my childhood, because of the patterning that I had, it's like, I didn't know what I wanted. I would constantly be asking people, well, what do you want to do? Yeah, we'll go do that. Yeah. And it's like, and there's good elements to that as well, you know. It's like, because when you did that, you know, I'd often find that it's like, oh, that was actually a really cool day, and I wouldn't have done that anyway, you know what I mean? But when you start finding out what it is that you like to do, and you put a bit of intentionality into this life, then you can really start to create the life that you want, not the life that somebody else wants of you, or what they want, you know, from you, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like I say, you know, my job before I do what I do now, which is so fucking varied, I worked in the forestry and planted trees like these in rows, you know, for fucking 13 years. But, you know, I knew that it wasn't right. Like 6-7 years before, I knew that it just wasn't for me, and I stayed in it because I wanted to keep everybody else happy, you know. And in that, I felt my own energy draining out of myself. I got angry as fuck, you know. It's like the guys would wonder who I'd turn up as on a day. It's like, oh shit, who's Sam going to turn up to? Is he going to be happy, or is he going to be sad? And it's like that. There's what you would call bipolar. Bipolar doesn't exist for anybody. Bipolar is just a label, you know, for being out of alignment. And I think a lot of it, or from my perspective, it was a lot to do with the fact that I was not being true to myself, and I was compromising all of them parts of myself to fit in or to make money or whatever it is. So be aware in our lives when we are doing those things to make other people happy, when you're giving all your energy and your power away, you know. It's like it's not healthy. And but like I say, do I wish that none of it happened? No, fuck no.
Yeah.
I don't regret any part of my life, you know, because it was all fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely. Like I remember times, like it's so funny, innit? You can learn something like now, and it just makes sense of lots of things that have happened through your life.
Yeah.
And it's like the avoidant attachment style is like something which shows up mostly in romantic relationships, and that's the kind of information that we've kind of been going back and forth with over the past few days. But you can also tie it into a lot of things, like when like you say, oh, do you want to go and do this? And like sometimes it worked out all right, like you say, but then sometimes you might not have wanted to do it. But because that avoidance of expressing your needs and your like wants gets suppressed because it was safer to do so in your caregiving environment, you end up just like tootling along through life, and then you're not happy, are you? You're not happy. And that's why, like now, as much work as I've done, and as much as experience that I've had, and I've gone into the discomfort and found the other side, you'll come across something else like this, and it's like, oh, wow, it is something brand new, and I'm completely a novice in this world. I get to be a novice again.
Yeah.
I get to start from scratch, and I get to be very bad at something, perhaps. You know, we'll see. We'll get into it, but I get to start from the beginning, and that's what gives me like happiness and joy in life. Like it's like discovering something which you've not really been conscious of. It's kind of been over here that you've not been able to see, and it's like, oh, cool. So I get to work on this now, and then what? So that it's going to improve like most areas of my life. One of the most important areas of life being relationships. Why would I not want that to improve? Of course I do. So I'm going to now step into that. But yeah, it shows you so many things, doesn't it? And you can just like you come across stuff like, and not to get too bogged down with learning new things as well, because like I'm someone that's me talking. You might not be the same, but I was like addicted, and it was like fucking 3 hours a day, learn. What else is out there? Is there? And I was just going over the same information. But now and again, and you usually comes from other people when you get to a certain stage of exhausting all of your stuff that you're used to going to, because you start to think that that's all there is, and it'll come randomly from someone else, like something you'll share with me or something like that, and you're like, oh wow, cool, like let's go into this now, and then you can start like another journey of being a novice and finding more about yourself. And yeah, I feel like that's a
Proper.
really good thing to do.
It's a really healthy perception change, isn't it? When the things that you were first of all scared of looking at, you're now going like, oh, where's the next one? Like, because then, you know, the fear shits itself, you know, not that the fear is a separate thing, but, you know, in essence, if you look at the fear as an entity, it's going like, oh, fuck, he's figured the game out, you know. But then this transcends into all aspects of life. That's the thing I'm realizing, you know. It's like, and that's why I'm taking this time now to like really delve deep into myself and to eke out these things. And there will be stuff that I'll be like, you know, from my ego, but as soon as I start to speak them out and it's met from a similar level of conscious awareness, then you're able to, like us talking about it, it's been like this, oh, fucking hell, wow, holy shit, like, you know, I don't have to be like this all my life. And, you know, I can actually allow all this joy and happiness to come in now because I'm starting to understand it. That feeling of that can be like for, hey, what is it? Maybe I don't have to pay taxes or anything like this. How do I go into that, you know? And then your regulated nervous system is able to respond to that and do that, you know? And it's like, then you're really taking all of your power back. And that's what this journey's about. It's just going like, oh, hang on a minute, I'll keep that here, you know? And it's just like, in all sense, money is energy, you know, like energy is just energy. Like, describe what energy is. It's just feelings and things, but you can't actually put a thing on it. But it's keeping that sovereignly to yourself, you know, and going like boundary setting, everything. It's all the same thing. So once you start to heal stuff on one emotional level that you think is only in your relationships, you will find that that transmits into other areas of your life effortlessly because you go, oh, it's the same energy, you know. And that's the alchemy that I help other people realize is like, yeah, see, once you do this, you'll also change this effortlessly because then you'll realize that it's all the same thing, you know, and that's the beautiful awareness because then you can find that joy in the things that you were fucking petrified of before, you know, and it's like, then you start to become your true God self in essence, you know, it's like super exciting shit, man. Like,
no, it is, leaning more into it, leaning more into what was uncomfortable before.
Don't run away from it.
Expanding,
biggest gift.
Expanding your comfort bubble over and over again over time, isn't it? And it'll just keep going and keep going, and you'll keep moving in the right direction. And then when you get to a stage where what was formerly uncomfortable has become comfortable, you'll discover something else. And that's how it is. And you know, especially if you're open to seeking out those things, you know, they'll keep coming, and it's not going to blindside you and be something that catches you off balance. You know, if you've got the right mindset about it, you can ask for something, you can ask for a level up or ask for the next thing, and it will come, and you can access it from choosing it rather than because these things need to be learned anyway. All these lessons, like, they do need to come, and they're either going to blindside us somewhat and come from an unconscious angle and then creep up on us. And by that point, it's got to this boiling over stage where you're having a heated argument with somebody or whatever it may be.
Yeah, so it's going to happen anyway. That's it, isn't it? It's like, I look at it as like a dam, you know, it's almost like you know, the water's starting to rise, you know, and it's like once you start to gain the awareness, then you can see, oh, hang on a minute, the water's rising. We'll just let out, open the floodgate. Oh, there we go, that was easy, you know, it's whereas if you just don't, you ignore it, and it's like, the water's still rising, dickhead, you know, it's like, you know, hang on a minute, the dam's cracking, boom, you have no control, you don't have control, oh shit, it doesn't matter what you do now, it's too late.
Exactly.
So in essence, like, you're better off going searching and seeking out these fears so that you can then consciously bring it and put it to bed quicker. You know, I'm not saying that we're all going to be perfect at this. We're not. We're fucking humans at the end of the day. There's unconscious things we can't see. So, but it's better than letting it get to the top of the dam because the water's filling anyway. Always, you know, but you can choose to let it out when it's down there rather than just like, oh shit, the dam's failing, boom. Oh my God, it's like your whole life falls apart then, you know. And it's almost like I speak to other people, you know, like Susie the Akashic Reader and loads of other people. When we're not paying attention to what's going on and the universe is trying to give us signs all the time and we're ignoring them consistently, then it gets to the point where the universe will go like, okay, you're having a stroke now because you need to fucking like stop and change direction. And then this goes into free will and how much control we actually have of this stuff, you know. But, you know, it's like if you don't, ultimately, then you'll start to get a disease. You know, and it's like if you're not listening, then you'll start to get a cancer somewhere in that affected area that is, you know, wherever the pattern or the trauma or whatever you want to call it is within your body. You will get an associated thing there that's giving you a sign or a signal to say, look at this. Yeah, if not, you're gonna fuck yourself up, you know, and that's on you. You know, and it's like so many people I know who aren't in alignment for whatever reason, the universe will go like, right, we're giving you a stroke. Happened to Dave, happened to Susie, the Akashic reader, happened to a few other people that I know, you know. And it's like, it's not the be all and end all. Sometimes we get these things, they're always a gift. Diseases, illnesses, car crashes, fucking, you know, whatever, people dying around you, it's always happening for you, you know. It's not easy to do and see it from that perception, you know, and it's like, and feel into it. If you, you know, it's not to say like, oh, that's just happening for me, I don't have to emotionally respond to it. If you repress it, you're going to fuck yourself up more. You've got to feel into it and see what it's trying to teach you. Yeah. You don't have to. It doesn't matter. Like, if not, you die, you come back, you do it again, you'll learn the same lesson 5 degrees. It's like,
I before my dark night of the soul, I was going to work, going to the gym for like 2 hours, whether it was like the boxing gym or the normal gym, and then on the weekend I'd be quite active. I was just all day long, from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I was doing stuff, and then all of a sudden, just by chance, coincidence, I happened to dislocate my knee and fractured my patella and damaged all the ligaments in my leg. And I literally couldn't move off the couch for 3 weeks. I was crippled. And guess what? Guess when my dark night was triggered? Right then, lied on that couch. So there you go. It wasn't a stroke, you know. Thankfully, you know, it was a knee injury, and it still affects me a little bit now because the muscle took a while to build back. But yeah, it was something that proper made me just sit there, and I couldn't do anything. There was nothing I could do apart from sit there and be with myself, and that was exactly what I needed at that time.
yeah.
I love Palo Santo. It was exactly what I needed at that time, just to be there and sit with it. And what a gift it was. And another thing as well, yeah, which is what I was wanting to say, was my knee got better. My dark night had been triggered. I'd started to ask some questions and stuff and go into it somewhat, but then, and it was dislocated left knee. It never happened before. Never had any problems with my knees. About 3 months later, I went to a party and was all getting drunk. So I chose to ignore a lot of things, and I was just like, yeah, got to get my other knee dislocated. The chance. What are the chances of that? What are the chances of that? Yeah.
Fuck you, Matty.
So it's like, oh yeah, you're not gonna listen. Have that, son.
Yeah, literally kick you fucking knee out.
Yeah.
Spirit's just gone like, dickhead.
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
you.
You're not getting it.
Oh, you're not still not listening. We'll do the other one, dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's it.
And I was like, okay, well, I want to start listening because I like being able to walk. So I'm gonna listen now. I was like, right, okay. The chances of that are just ridiculous. And then I started, you know, had no choice but to deal with the dark night side of it in terms of like the emotions that come up, the full body anxiety. That was there anyway. But I was trying to ignore it and just go about my life. And that just made me go, okay, you know, I need to sit with this and
surrender
deal
to
with
it,
it.
innit?
Surrender to it and trust, and let go.
And that's it. That's the start of the journey of trust, isn't it? It's taking you out of your ego mind and putting you into the hands of the divine. I mean, we're always in the hands of the divine, obviously, from fucking your legs up. Thanks. You know, it's but it is thanks, isn't it? You know, you often hear that from people who got severe cancers and things, and then like, you know, speak to them, and it's just like, yeah, I was going down a wrong path there. And like spirit came in and just said cancer, you know, to sit with it, and then it changed my life in ways that thingy, you know. Whereas if you're still in victim mode or whatever it is, then you just, you know, this is happening to me. But often it makes people meet that part of, you know, death almost, isn't it? It's like, oh, shit, you know, and then they really start to enjoy life after that because they realise that it is finite, you know, and then you realise what a gift it is to just fuck, you know, like be with your kids, or, you know, just any of the beautiful things that happen in your life. It's like you really start to respect and honour yourself and love life, you know. And it's like Anita Morjani, you know, if anybody's not looked her up or anything, she has so much fucking wisdom in her, because she had cancers all over her body. She had tumours the size of lemons in her throat, like all over, and it's because she wasn't loving herself, you know. And you know, she died on the operating theatre room, went into the other side, you know, over to the other side, like met her dad there, who she was really, she had all these grievances with, and, you know, it's like she held not resentment to him, but she thought that her dad would hate her, or it's whatever, because she ran away. She didn't do the normal thing that Indians do and get married and by a arranged marriage and all this sort of thing. So basically, she met her dad on the other side, and her dad literally said to her, like, you've got a choice here. You can stay here. And she's like, it's beautiful here. Why would anybody want to leave? She's like, yeah, but you can go back and you can fulfill your life purpose, And by all rights, the doctor's like, she's dead. Anyway, she came back. She decided to come back and realised that she got all these cancers because she was giving so much of her power away to try and make everybody around her happy whilst putting herself on the back burner. And God was like, well, fuck you, love. Like, if you're not going to start loving yourself, then I'm going to kill you. It's like, because, you're not living life to the fullest, and we want you to enjoy this experience. So in whatever way that you want to, And then she came back, and now she's a motivational speaker. She's released loads of books. She shares a story, helps people realize that, death isn't the end. It's like, it's just a transition. So much stuff, and it's amazing. It really, like, after I had my start of my awakening, I went balls deep on near-death experiences and stuff, because it's like balls deep. I keep saying it. Went balls deep on near-death experiences because of what I'd experienced in my DMT journey. Yeah. I'd gone to that other side. I completely died into myself, and then come back into my body and was like, what the wow, holy shit! I know fuck all, and then nothing. And then it was just intriguing to look into death and all this sort of thing. And I was like, oh shit, I was so terrified of this. And it's an illusion. It's not real. It's a conditioned part of us that society's told us is real in order to control us. And it's like, it's very, very interesting tactic to use to try and control anybody, to siphon their energy. But now we're all starting to wake up to their bullshit,
Yeah.
And this is the awakening, It's only going one way as well. That's it, That's the beautiful thing. Yeah. Only going. You can't hide the truth. The truth is truth, and the truth is love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. So, like, with the whole, some people might be wondering when we speak about making the unconscious conscious and diving into these things. Some of the things, because a large part of the theme of the chat's been diving into unconscious things, because that's where the magic lies, and alchemizing yourself and things like that. And some people might be thinking, well, where do I start? How do I even do that? So, like, one of the things that we've spoke about is the importance of not trying to avoid it at all costs and just avoiding any relationship with anyone at all. Because if you want the biggest, most reflective mirror, it's probably in a romantic relationship, or something that's as close as that.
A deep connection, isn't it?
Yeah. A deep connection with someone, because that's the biggest mirror you can have is somebody, another human being very close to you and being emotionally involved with them, because it's through the emotional involvement and somewhat the emotional attachment is what is able to allow that mirror to be as big as it is, because you really deeply, truly are bothered by what this person says and thinks about you, because you have a lot of trust and love for them. So then you can blow your paradigm of your reality, the way you've always thought of yourself, a little bit, when they're pointing something out to you which you're unaware of, and you at first don't believe, and you're like what are you even talking about? You might not believe them at first. You've got to obviously have discernment, because you know you're not to be manipulated by people either, and just blindly believe what people are telling you about yourself. You've got to make sure you've got that trust for these people.
Yeah, that's very important.
And it's it's like the world and life will mirror triggers to you. So be conscious, be present, and pay attention. That's very important. And don't lock yourself in a wooden cabin in the middle of the woods, either literally or figuratively, because if you really want to grow, you grow through having relationships with people. And another way is, like, you can kind of meditate on things and reflect on things, and throughout the day, if things are coming up and you're noticing that something bothered me there, which doesn't seem to bother other people the same way, like, it's not about judging yourself or anything like that. Just make notes on it. Start a journal, and if you can see a pattern, And even if it doesn't make sense to you, but there is a pattern there and you've noticed it yourself, so you can trust that more than anything else, start to investigate that pattern and think about why that might be, and then try to trace back to where a source for where that pattern might have begun. And it's not as complicated as a lot of us think. A lot of us think, oh, that's going to be years and years of work, but it's not.
No.
It's like,
You
as soon
can
as...
ask your guides for help as well. They'll input memories into you. This what's happened to me on numerous occasions. I don't understand why I do these things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand why I make my life shit like this, you know, and push people away and do all these sorts of things. And then they'll put memories in there, or you'll see it in your dream state or whatever, you know, and it's like those things, then you can start to journal, dream journal. It's your subconscious in a visual representation when you're asleep.
Yeah.
And it's literally, there's so much shit in there, you know, so much shit in there. Not shit, it's good stuff. You know
yeah. Yeah. And it's perfect. It's exactly, it's all you need to be able to go through what you need to level up in your life and level up in your relationships and your human experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you don't need years and years of therapy or anything like that. You just need to be able to spot patterns in yourself and trace it back to a source. As soon as we started doing, like the second you sent me those videos of the anxious attachment theory, and I watched the first one, and it basically explained what a person who is avoidant attachment is and what they do. And I was looking at it, and she was like, this person might have had this experience within their caregiving environment. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, so.
And it's like, well, fucking hell. A lot of the information's out there for you. You don't have to do a lot of work, really. What you then need to do, though, is then be consciously aware of when that is playing out in real life, and not just get the information and think, oh, I know that now, and I can just forget about it. You've got to be like just conscious throughout your day, and then when it happens, and then just have a look and be like, oh, was that one of those scenarios? Was I purposely avoiding that then? To my detriment, you know, is it something what I'm trying to push away because it was safer to do in my caregiving environment when I was a child? And you can start to make those investigations, and and journaling on the whole journey is so important. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be journaling on the whole thing and just taking notes and seeing my own progression as I go through it. Yeah.
Boom. Ace. I love it.
Yeah.
I think that'll do us for this evening. Yeah.
Yeah, sound.
Proper good, Matthew. Thank you very much. Like, and it is like, you know, the ability to be able to share open and honestly with somebody is something that is really overlooked, especially in a world now that is, you know, very fractured, you know, and people we have an epidemic of loneliness. And what does loneliness do? You know, it's like loneliness, you know, isolation and loneliness, you know, it's like, you know, we've been made to be scared of one another because the powers that were have orchestrated it so that very cleverly, yeah, that is a word, they've done it so that we disempower ourselves because we've broken that contact with us 6 foot away from everybody, you know, it's like, oh, don't go and hug grandma and all that sort of stuff, you know, it's like a bit old news and stuff, but it's relevant. Because that's what they've done, is they've disempowered us by disconnecting us from ourselves. But I believe that we had to get into that completely disintegrated state in order to then reform. It's almost like the cycle had to go to that level of separation, almost because that's how it was always going to be and orchestrated from the beginning, you know. It's like, to see it from a neutral place where you can begin to understand it and then view it in a way that is healthy, I guess. And then, a lot of people aren't going to realise that in this lifetime, and that's okay. They'll just go back into another 3D reality when they die to learn the same lessons in order to get them to this place. But all we can do as individuals is realise truth within ourselves and catalyse that love for ourselves and that compassion for ourselves, so that we can then share that openly and honestly with the people when they're ready to do that for themselves. You know, that's the only power that we have here. You know, it's like, and sharing this knowledge of what you've found out about yourself then helps other people to go, fuck yeah, I do that too. You know, be vulnerable. You know, that's where all the power is, especially men. Women are very good at talking, you know, generally women are very good at talking things out. Fire agrees. But men,
generally aren't. You know, it's like, oh, macho and all this, and I'll work out and do loads of stuff all the time. Nothing wrong with working out and doing all that. But really, like, you know, some of the most insecure people that I've met on this journey are the macho men. When really inside, I'm scared, I'm really, you know, it's like it's all an affront to appear like they've got it all sorted when actually in retrospect it's the exact opposite. It's an external reflection to counter or to compensate for that lack, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, start bringing awareness to it. Or do whatever you want, it's up to you. I don't give a fuck. Really. You know? But I do care, actually. Care massively, you know, but that care started when I really started to care for myself and put myself first, you know.
Yeah.
And you've got to be happy, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, shit up. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And this is just the shared podcast that Matty and I are doing. There's no ownership of anything here. It's just everything is. Yeah. So anyway, I hope it helped. There you go. And have a wonderful day, evening, noon, or death. You're not going to see any of them things.
Cheers for getting to the end and listening to Samuel talk in the woods.
Give us a like and a follow and a subscribe as well. That'd be really helpful. And share this with people who you know it could help, because that's why we're here. You know, we didn't suffer and go through all that lack of awareness and suffering for nothing. You know, it's to be of service to people. And one of the biggest things that I can say on this journey is, like, we all came here to be happy, and I'm happiest when I'm helping people, you know.
Absolutely.
But that help starts with yourself, first and foremost.
And following on from that, like, at some point in the future, we might be looking to do some of this with some of you guys, you know, if some of you would feel like coming out here and getting back to simple things like having a fire and cooking some food and just having a conversation, then it's something we're going to be looking to do in the future.
Yeah.
So stay in touch and stay tuned.
Totally. In-person contact. Matty's Instagram and TikTok is?
My TikTok is The Souls That Wander, and my Instagram is matt.mcguire01. Yeah.
Spot on. And I'm Medicine Man Sam on Instagram and TikTok, and I think YouTube, but you'll be watching it on YouTube. So yeah, I guess it is as well. There you go. So spot on. Anyway, love yous, people. Keep up the good work.
Nice one.
And the bad work, because there is none. Ta-ta.
See ya.